Okay, so I want to talk to you about something that's always blows my mind, and that's how often people write to me worrying that they might be using Reiki inappropriately. In their mind, they have a set of ideal conditions for Reiki practice, maybe a quiet room, a state of deep meditation, no distractions, total focus, etc., etc. And they can't help but feel that anything less would be disrespectful to Reiki. As a result, they tend not to practice much, if ever. Their lives are too busy to find these perfect conditions, so although they know Reiki would do them good, they sadly give it up. Now, I'm only guessing, but this attitude appears to have crossed over from mainstream religion. It's the type you sometimes find in a church or a temple. It's the one where devotees look more like they're making a trip to the morgue rather than the house of God. It's the attitude that condemns any overt displays of happiness or joy because that would be, wait for it, disrespectful. Now, you might think that I'm exaggerating, but I'm sure most of you have been to church at least several times in your life, and unless the ones you have visited are a little less orthodox, then I kind of doubt you found many people who joked or laughed there. Now, sure, Australians like me sometimes see services on TV where an American preacher revs up his congregation and they sing and clap and shout, but in most of the world, that is unheard of. Instead, what you generally find in traditional churches, at least in, say, Australia and Italy, are people with their heads bowed in what I imagine they presume to be humility, a state that's apparently at odds with the exuberant joy that you'd hope to find in the house of God. Now, of course, there are other reasons why people might feel the need to appear somber in church. Perhaps, like in a library, they don't wish to disturb other people who are in prayer or quiet contemplation. Point taken. But still, a little levity, a little energy, some enthusiasm and delight wouldn't go astray because, after all, we're meant to be in the house of God, and that should be a place of celebration, a place that fills us to the brim with happiness. But what about disrespect? Shouldn't we show the proper pious attitude to God, or in our case, Reiki? Well, that depends on what sort of God you believe in, because I personally doubt that God takes himself as seriously as we do. In fact, I'm confident God can live with people not only forgetting to be as serious as they ought to be, but I think he could probably even take a joke at his own expense. After all, do you seriously think it is very godly to get ruffled by a few impious words or trivial mortal actions? That, to me, sounds more like something that would bother regular mortals, not God. Which gets us to the gods of Reiki, and no, I'm not using the term gods literally. Are these gods really so precious that they get offended if we practice Reiki, say, while on a tram? Do they really lose a night's sleep because we practice while watching the Friday night footy? No. In my view of the world, at least, the Reiki gods like nothing more than for us to summon them forth. They love to flow into our world. They love to come alive. And if this happens at a football game, then they are delighted. Indeed, the tragedy for them is to be ignored. They want to participate in everything we do, to fill us with their light. Of course, I'm not saying that the benefits of football Reiki are equivalent to those of a more traditional meditative form, but believe me, a little bit of Reiki is better than no Reiki, as Mrs. Takata, the founder of Western Reiki, famously said. Now, personally, I think that the optimal approach is a combination of meditative Reiki and what I call incidental Reiki. I do roughly an hour of regular meditative Reiki practice a day, but I also very often do another hour of incidental Reiki. And believe me, the incidental Reiki is a big help. It keeps the Reiki energy flowing. It keeps my energy system in great shape. So while I want to work hard on my Reiki craft, and while the spiritual path is the most important thing in my life, I also want to have fun while traveling along it. In other words, I want to take my Reiki seriously without getting too serious. Because when we start to take Reiki too seriously, when Reiki takes on the somber colors of certain church services, then we not only don't enjoy ourselves as much, we also tend to take ourselves too seriously. So let me invite you to take every opportunity, not just to practice and work hard at your Reiki, but also to love it and have fun. Because even if you could disrespect the gods of Reiki, they truly wouldn't care. They have only one wish, and that wish is to be summoned forth into the world. They live for the rush of being used, the rush that comes when they flow through our being. So if we crack a joke and have a laugh, then the gods of Reiki will share it with us, because if there's one chakra they like seeing activated, it's the clown chakra. Hard to locate in the physical body, but great fun when it's uncorked. Okay, so that's it for today. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. And just in case it wasn't clear, in this video, I use the term gods of Reiki to mean something like the spirit of Reiki. I was not talking about literal gods. Righto, that's it. Have fun with your Reiki practice. Remember to check out my latest book, Reiki Flow. And if you're in Australia in January 2026, check out my upcoming Reiki retreat. The link is in the description.